Big hand to Professor Maurizio Zollo. He speaks English much better than me, so I will leave him.
Thank you. Let me start with an interesting cast of characters. There we go. This is not the Addams family. Non è la famiglia Adams. This is a group of scientists, actually from very different disciplines. This is and coming from three very, very important universities. Bocconi University, which is the leading business school in Italy. San Raffaele Hospital, which is the leading medical hospital in Italy, and ETH, which is the Federal Polytechnic in Switzerland, which is also the leading university in Switzerland. That's where Albert Einstein used to teach. They have like 40 plus Nobel laureates in their history. And all of these guys worked together for about 8 years now to study the impact of both meditation as well as other forms of training, computer-based training, on the development of capacities in managers to tackle very complex problems, complex related to innovation and to sustainability. And what I'm going to do today is show you very briefly what this group of people have found. As you can see, the research program is characterized by two different questions. One focused on innovation, and the other one focused on sustainability, right? How to develop a mindset in managers so that they actually can understand what it means to run a company in a sustainable way, what it means to make decisions so that the earth actually matters and society actually matters. We all know that in theory that is true, but we actually do not know really well what that means in practice, in reality. And we don't know what are the effective ways to help managers develop that mindset, okay? Obviously, I'm going to focus on number 2 in this presentation. Quindi mi focalizzerò sul numero 2, che è la componente, la parte del programma di ricerca che si focalizza sul problema di sviluppare la sensibilità, le capacità dei manager di prendere decisioni in maniera sostenibile, quindi considerando, capendo, sviluppando la sensibilità verso l'ambiente, verso l'impatto sociale delle proprie decisioni. Quindi, so this is basically the idea, right? To create, to contribute, to understand how to create an enterprise, a business that is at the same time innovative and sustainable, okay? Those two dimensions obviously are fundamental in order to ensure success in any way. Le due dimensioni sono fondamentali in maniera integrata, devono essere tutte e due soddisfatte, no? Condizioni necessarie per poter garantire la sostenibilità di lungo periodo. I'm not going to go into details as to why we decided to do this marriage between management scholars and neuroscientists. You know, the San Raffaele people were all neuroscientists. We were management scholars. There were some other engineers. Fundamentally, we were neuroscientists and managers. This is the first time in history that management scholars and neuroscientists work together. La prima volta in assoluto che studiosi di management e di neuroscienza hanno lavorato insieme. Ci sono diverse ragioni. There are a lot of reasons why we decided to do this, not just because it was the first time. There is a reason why nobody did it. It's particularly difficult to do. But they are kind of a bit more technical. Fundamentally, this is the first time that we could actually see what goes on in the mind of the manager when they're making, in that moment when they're making the decision. È la prima volta che è stato possibile vedere che cosa succede nella mente del manager nell'istante in cui sta prendendo una decisione che ha una rilevanza manageriale. Quindi questo era un po' il motivo fondamentale per cui abbiamo deciso di intraprendere questo programma di ricerca. The way we did it is relatively straightforward, actually, in terms of design, with an experimental design. I'm not going to go to details. This is not the place, but it's important to know that it's not just fMRI. It's not just scanning through the magnetic resonance. It's also a lot of other measures, standard psychological measures, standard simulations, and so on. It's a very complex set of measurements that we used. And of course, the intervention, what really matters here is the type of training that we did in order to see whether the managers actually change their behavior, their decision-making before and after the training intervention. Okay? So 3 phases. First, measurement. Second, training. Third, measurement again. Let's see if they changed. And more importantly, what is the most powerful training intervention to change the mindset, to change the way that actually the brain perceives and therefore reacts to the same stimulus, to the same exercise that we ask them to do in the measurement. Ok? Quindi l'idea è abbastanza semplice, la cosa fondamentale è sostanzialmente misurare se e quale degli interventi di formazione sono più efficaci, più potenti da cambiare il modo in cui il manager cambia, il modo in cui il manager percepisce il problema e quindi decide sul problema, decide che cosa fare su quel problema. Allora, this is just to give you a sense of the history of the project. It's going on for 8 years. It's already produced a lot of publications, but it's not really important right now. Let me actually focus on kind of in a nutshell what is the broad results. Okay, we have used 2 types of training interventions. One is the meditation, and the other one is the cognitive, what we call cognitive training, which means basically that the training was done with the help of computer, right? Computer-based training, essentially. There were specific training exercises aimed at helping managers to, for example, think more long-term, okay? And this is all established ways to train using computer-based exercises. And of course, on the other hand, completely different approach, which is the meditation. It's very similar meditation like the one that was described before. Okay? Quindi 2 approcci di formazione sono la meditazione e questo approccio cognitivo attraverso la formazione su base di computer. L'innovazione e la sostenibilità sono i due contesti formativi, no? Innovation and sustainability are the problems, right? The managerial problems that we wanted to study. And what seems to be happening, and this is only the beginning of the analysis, we are still working a lot on the data, is that the innovation decisions, the cognitive computer-based training seems to be particularly effective there. We're still working on the effectiveness of meditation. But for sure, on the sustainability side, the meditation part is a lot more effective than the cognitive training, okay? That is kind of, in a nutshell, the result. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more, but this is basically the fundamental idea. If you want to train managers to think about sustainability, you got to use training approaches that are very, very different from the normal approaches. Quindi gli approcci normali, anche quelli basati sui computer, non funzionano quando si tratta di fare una formazione per la sostenibilità. Questo è un po' è il concetto fondamentale. Let's kind of summarize a little bit the notion itself of sustainability. What do we mean by sustainability? What is a sustainable enterprise? I could lecture for hours on this, but just to give you a quick view, since we have very little time, and you keep me honest, okay? Stop me when it's too late. So a sustainable enterprise means that you have a company that has a purpose that is defined around the satisfaction of the interests of a plurality of stakeholders, rather than define around the maximization of the value of shareholders, okay? That is the key idea. It's not just there is one stakeholder, which is the shareholders, that matters, and all the rest are basically working for them. There is actually all the stakeholders, including customers, suppliers, employees, communities. They all matter, they all have their interests, they all have their needs, they all have their views, and they all have their contributions, right? Their resources, their ideas, their capabilities that they can contribute in order to allow the company to succeed in the first place. Then, of course, there are the second fundamental point is that performance in a sustainable enterprise is not just measured in terms of economic performance. La performance di un'impresa sostenibile non è soltanto economica, ma è anche una performance ambientale e sociale. Okay? There are three dimensions of performance: economic, social, and environmental. There are also different ways in which each process, each function of the firm is actually managed, different way in which suppliers, for example, are managed in a sustainable enterprise. I'm not going to go into details, but basically you get it. It's a completely different logic, different way in which the company is perceived, is considered, is viewed, and therefore is managed. Now, the problem is, how do you actually get there, right? From the way that the companies are considered today. Today, the vast majorities of large companies consider sustainability essentially as a way to defend their reputation. It's an insurance, okay? I want to protect my company from being criticized, right? And therefore, I will write nice sustainability reports, okay? La maggior parte delle aziende vedono la sostenibilità come un'assicurazione, come una protezione da rischi di reputazionali sostanzialmente. Alcune aziende iniziano a capire che c'è anche una questione di efficienza di costi e iniziano anche a fare invece dei ragionamenti un po' più evoluti. Alcune addirittura pensano alla sostenibilità, ma molto poche, in termini di innovazione. Some companies have shifted from reputational logics to efficiency logics, for example, in terms of lowering costs through, for example, lowering energy costs, right? It's good for the environment, it's also good for the company, right? Good deal. Very few companies have thought about innovation, right? But there are some. That's where they are at the maximum, right? The most advanced companies, but nobody has really gone to the whole spectrum of really rethinking the role of the firm the way that I was describing before, with the whole stakeholder interest, the whole integration of stakeholder needs and stakeholder interest and stakeholder responsibility. That's the problem. So how do you actually do that? How do you get managers, first of all, in order to change the way that the organization evolves, you have to change the way that manager individuals evolves. And that's the fundamental problem. That's why we have chosen meditation as one of the training interventions, because we have a lot of literature now in the medical science and neuroscience that shows powerful impacts, particularly in those neurochemicals that are responsible for changes in behavior that should be connected to sustainable decisions. Okay, that was the hypothesis. And give me just one more minute, and I will show the rest of the story. Essentially, this is the model that we tested. Meditation actually can influence the decision, sustainable decision, through two pathways. One is the cognitive, right? The cognitive decisions, and the other one is the emotional path. And in the end, and now I'm gonna skip right to the end, we find changes through the Sahaja Yoga meditation in the behavioral aspects. And this is, some quite interesting subjective assessments of participants. These are Bocconi students who have participated, and this is what they say. The first major things is that we see that the decision-making behavior changes dramatically between pre and post, right? The meditation training. More dramatically is that we actually have found what we didn't even expect, that actually the amount of gray matter in a particular part of the brain, which is related to the capacity to self-restrain from the immediate reward. Questo è importante, lo traduco anche in italiano. Oltre al cambiamento delle decisioni, che abbiamo visto andare esattamente nella direzione che noi ci aspettavamo, abbiamo trovato una cosa che non ci aspettavamo. I partecipanti a questi corsi di formazione attraverso la meditazione hanno addirittura sviluppato una quantità, una densità della massa grigia nell'area del cervello responsabile dell'autocontrollo sulla, come si suol dire in italiano? Viene in inglese ma non in italiano. self-restraint to immediate rewards, right? So basically you resist the temptation, si resiste alla tentazione la capacità di resistere alla tentazione di avere la ricompensa immediata. Perfetto, grazie. Che è esattamente il problema della sostenibilità, no? Immaginate il classico esempio del pescare il pesce, no? Se tutti quanti pescano il pesce, alla fine il pesce finisce per tutti quanti, quindi bisogna ridurre, resistere alla tentazione, resist the temptation to fish too much so that everybody can keep on fishing forever, right? And this is actually what happened in physical terms, right? The density of the brain increases. And so this is the last slide. We find that the activation patterns increase on both the warm and the cold channel, both the cognitive, right, the computational side of our brain, and the warm, the affective part of our brain connected to these type of decisions are actually more activated. But interestingly enough, particularly on the affective side, we even see an increase in the amount of gray matter. This is, beyond even our expectations, and we're quite excited about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.